Man, this is Country Jeff. I'm sitting here drinking Nice House Edge, laying in a nice motel warm bed right now. Drinking the Ice House Edge beer, smoking a Pall Mall cigarette, and was watching America's Idol. But anyways, they kept on texting me, and they kept bringing me back in on Twitter, and now I'm motherfucking back here, man. And I'm getting drunk, and I'm about to go on tour. And I'm about to become a big motherfucking star like they do on fucking American Idol. But I'm going to start making mass money, man, and getting the hell out of Cincinnati.
You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob. Yay! Yeah! Yeah!
B to the R, O to the B, coming at you with the funny random rambling, talking about all the things that make that rain day sunny. Yeah, it's hot and popping, fireball dropping, come get your laugh on. Yeah, that's the concept, you know he be rocking, Rob got the facts and all of the guys, and it don't matter where you are or who you with. You gotta tune right in, bring your girl into your girl to bring your friends, be right, be lit. Tune in your crib, in your whip, at your job. He got new shows every Sunday.
Here we go.
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Randoms Ramblings with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. You may listen to it with your roommate. I don't know. I mean, with the way we are technologically, you may not have a roommate. You may have a friend that's on the internet that you may have never met in real life. And I don't know. I mean, you can just have a couple of random chatterings here and there and everything. And I don't know, they might just show up just in time for whatever. But in any case, if you're a new listener, you probably didn't catch none of that shit I just said, but it will all be revealed in due time. This week, I have another stupendous guest, and I'm going to give him a proper introduction. Hailing from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, he is the man, the myth, the legend, Bobby Del Rio. All right, that was enough of that. I had that in my mind all day.
That was pretty epic. I gotta give you props on that shit. Okay. Because
I know with the name Bobby Del Rio, you probably heard it from somebody somewhere on the internet that there's a wrestler named Alberto Del Rio, right?
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah,
I hear that a lot. And then what I tell them is that I actually went to the prom with Gail Kim, who was in the WWE.
Oh, yes, I do remember hearing that story.
But like we were friends, we're like half dates, like we both had nasty breakups, and then we just kind of went as friends. But then it was so crazy, like 5 years later, I think she won the belt, and she was like the champion of the WWE, and I was like, what?
He's like, I went out with her once.
Yeah, well, no, we were good friends. Like we still stay in touch every now and then. Like she was last in Toronto, she was doing this movie a couple years back, and then I helped give her some like acting coaching and stuff like that.
I don't know if it was I remember a movie with her in it, and she was like an alter ego of this guy or whatever. She was doing like martial arts and all kind of crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't really keep track of. She does a lot of stuff, man. I mean look, she's been hot ever since high school, right? So like, yeah. Like she just had one of those lives. Like, I remember I first knew her because I had a crush on her friend. And then I kept hearing how she would get, like, free baseball tickets to go to the Blue Jays games. And she was, like, 14. And then, I don't know, since then, it was just, like, she was always, like, her and celebrities were just always kind of, like, in the same world. And then she became one. And I was like, well, that makes sense.
It sounded like it was mapped out from the beginning.
Yeah, I remember, I guess I could say it. I mean, it was a long time ago. But I remember once she let me listen to a voicemail. No, I can't say the name. I want to say the name, but you don't know where these things end up.
Yeah.
My friend. So there was like an A-list movie star who was in town. I really want to say the name, but I'm not going to do it. Got to get out of that habit. But super famous, and she like let me listen to his voicemail, and I was like, "What?" And she was like 17 or something, and this like super famous, and it was like his voice is so distinctive. I was like, "Oh my god, that's totally him." And he's like, "Yo, I'm at the KFC. Come meet me," or something. And I was like, "What the fuck?"
All right, chicken, distinctive voice. Was it Morgan Freeman?
It was not Morgan Freeman. That would really disgusting. But wouldn't shock me either. I mean, Gail just had one of those lives, you know, like, and you know, I was like always into like acting, and so we kind of had that kind of in common, I guess, like this fascination with I don't know, media, you know, attention, that kind of thing.
Well, that's a good jumping off point. When did you get hit with the acting bug?
I mean, maybe in the placenta, because I just don't remember a time when I wasn't acting, like not necessarily professionally, but I mean, my earliest memories of school, I mean, 6 years old, I remember being the lead in plays.
Okay.
So it was just kind of the thing that I did. Like, it was never really a precious thing. I don't even think it was really a dream, to be honest. It was just kind of like
something you
that
did.
was just who I was, you know?
Yeah, I can remember my earliest memory was preschool graduation, and they had me do the opening prayer, because I mean that's what we do in the South. So I got to lead everybody in prayer, and then we had a little play thing, and everybody had a letter of the alphabet, and I was Z. I was the last letter of the alphabet, and my line was Z zooms to Zanzibar.
That's crazy, because Zanzibar is actually a pretty famous strip joint in Toronto.
What? See, I don't leave nothing to chance. I think this was meant to be. We were meant to talk to each other.
Come down to Toronto. Let's go to the Rippers, man.
Yeah, that's a dream. I don't know about Toronto specifically. I mean, if I'm in that area, that's where I would go. But I want to go to Canada. Sounds like a wonderful place. I know a lot of people up there too.
Yeah, I think Toronto is a little bit different from a lot of other cities in Canada, but Toronto is very similar to a lot of American cities. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's obviously a lot smaller than New York, but it's kind of like Chicago. It's kind of like the same vibe as kind of like a Chicago, New York.
Now, I'm going to show my ignorance. Toronto is on the west side over by Seattle and all that shit, right?
No. We're very much East Coast.
All right. Yeah. See, like I said, there I go, showing my ignorance again.
Yeah, we're like, you know where Buffalo is?
Yes.
We're like across the lake from Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like you could drive to Buffalo and I think it's like an hour or something like that.
Okay. That's what's up. Like, you born and raised there. You there right now, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm here right now. But I do work all over the world, so it's funny because I have a 20-year professional career now.
Yes, you do.
All here, but like my work goes around the world as an actor, but even now all these podcasts, you know, I don't even know how many I've done now, maybe 30, 40 in the last 6 months, a year, almost all of which are in the United States.
And I think the only ones that I've seen listed today was, I think 8 that I saw. And that's just typing in your name, because, you know, everybody don't put people name in the show description. So there's probably many, many more.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got to be at least 30. That's just that I can remember. That's why we were having that little convo, and I was like, did I do your podcast before? Because some of them have similar names, right? So you're just like...
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of getting at. I first came across you on the Just in Time podcast. It was you and the girls from My Roommates and Escort.
Oh, wow. Dude, that's like... Well, I think that was my first podcast.
Yep.
With PD Beats.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's where I met PD Beats, is on that, because I was on that show. I was the male lead in that show, and then he put us all on it, and then I was like, "Who's PD Beats?"
Yeah, exactly. Same question.
Who's this guy? And then the bromance begun, and then he's repped me as my personal publicist for about a year, and I just love the guy, man. He's just like, he's like so smart, but he also like cares so much.
Yeah, he does.
And he works his ass off, man. And you just don't get that.
Yeah, it's a tough commodity to come by.
That makes me feel good, man. That's like a blast from the past. I remember that. That's like kind of when the whole podcast thing begun.
Yeah. And then I think later on I came across your name again on Arlyle's podcast, which is Random Chatterings.
Right.
And then also I know you famously from being in the web series My Roommate's Escort. The longest tattoo session I ever seen on screen.
Yeah. Oh man, that shit took a long time in makeup, man, to put that on. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I can give spoilers now, but whatever. Like this big tattoo that I have on my back for the show, and we shot that in like mid-November or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to teach you a little bit about Toronto.
Yes.
Because you thought we were up by Seattle, so I was like, okay.
I don't know why I thought that, because
we need to talk, brother. We need to talk.
Yeah, I always wanted to go to Seattle, and I know that I can get to Canada close to there, but I didn't know what part of Canada I was going to end up in if I just went straight up, so I automatically assumed it was Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you're up in Houston. Is that where you're at?
Yes, sir.
I don't even know where the hell that is.
Hey, so we're even. We're square.
No, I know it's somewhere like
that
south
way.
Or something.
Well, everybody's south of you, so.
Yeah, so I don't really, anyway. What was I saying? Okay, yeah, so it was like so cold when we shot all my stuff, because all my stuff pretty much takes place in this tattoo parlor.
With your shirt off.
Right. But it was so cold, and obviously my shirt's got to be off because they're putting this tattoo on my back. And so it took like 2-3 hours. And I swear to God, my nipples were so hard they could cut glass.
At least the tattoo has got to have a beanie on and shit.
Yeah, man. It was pretty, pretty cold. Not to complain, because I love doing it. I love Katie and Trish, and I'm in their new show, Canadian Actors, it's called. Mm-hmm. Which is so dope. And they're so talented. They've optioned something like 3 different shows to 3 different like networks and companies. So like the TV rights for My Roommates and Escort have been optioned to Fox.
Sweet.
For potential adaptation. But I guess we're going to shoot this show, Canadian Actors, I don't know, soonish. I think they're talking about this summer or something like that. Because when I sold the web series to television, but I've never had like a full on like half hour, 1 hour show. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, that shit takes long. Can I swear? Is that?
You can say all the words that you want, sir.
That shit takes so long to get made, and I don't know if that's just like a Canadian thing. I feel like it's not. I hear a lot about like comedians who go into development in the US and they're just in development for years. Yeah. But it takes a long time, right? So I think Katie and Trish just want to bang out another show. Like the original idea is a web series, but I know that they're also having meetings with big television broadcasters up here. So you never know what can go, but people love it so much that we're going to make that, and then hopefully some of their other shows can hit too. And these, I just love those girls so much, and they're so talented, and they're going to hit like in a major way.
Yeah. And I owe them a barbecue.
You owe them a barbecue?
Yeah. They were on my show, around the time the show was getting ready to premiere on YouTube and everything. And I had them on, and they was talking about having a barbecue. And I was like, well, if you ever come to Texas, you can stay at the house and I'll make you some barbecue.
That sounds like Katie and Trish. And they'll come knocking on your door.
I'm going to hold them to it.
You know what I love about them too is that, look, we're really good friends and they're super pretty and stuff. I only bring that up because it's very rare, and maybe this is an unpopular thing to say, but I do find often with attractive women in this industry, they're so often, choosing my words very carefully, I don't want to say fake, because that's maybe unfair, but there's like a wall because they just get hit on like 24/7.
Yeah,
right?
I can understand that.
And Canadian tricks do get hit on 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But they remain so open. Like there's no wall. These women are so genuine, like all the time. Like I know them on screen, off screen. We're just friends outside of the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
they're just always them. They're not fake.
Now,
you just don't get that.
Yeah. Now, being how busy of a man you are, I heard you kind of jokingly gave an answer on what's that Sunday Awesomeness podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have too much time off, and I appreciate you spending whatever little time that you have with me. But like, what is a day in the life of Bobby Del Rio?
I've been asked that before, and I always have a terrible answer. Because every day is different. Mm-hmm. You know, it really is. Like, that's part of the reason I really like the industry, is that crazy shit happens in this industry. You know, like I'd like to say a typical day is, oh, you know, I hit up the gym and maybe I have an audition, I go to an acting class or something. But to say that it really, it kind of misleads the listener. Right? Because some of the things that, like, okay, so let's say that's true. Okay, whatever. Go to the gym, that's pretty normal. You go to an audition, it could be anything from, like, cool, make out with this random girl, to, like, take your shirt off and dance.
What?
This is all stuff that I've done on audition. To, like, okay, I know it says that you're a vampire, but you're actually going to be a pirate and you're going to burn the ship. Can you now speak with a Spanish accent? Like, just there's like, so every audition you have, you're walking into a room with generally strangers. I mean, you probably know the casting director, casting assistants, but there's always just things that you don't know, and you're asked to do something that you've never done in your life.
Yeah. Ultimately,
and then you go to my acting class is crazy. I study with Robin K. Pilarski here in Toronto.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, I was just saying, like, ultimately is a test of your versatility. You know, they just want to see what you can do on the fly and shit.
Yeah. But like, same man, being an actor is such a trip. And my acting teacher, Robin K. Pilarski, he teaches Miser, and the shit that happens in that class, I mean, in any given moment, you could be in love with somebody, you could want to punch somebody in the face, like, things get smashed, people cry for, like, half an hour straight. I mean, it's just, like, I'll talk to my friends who are not in the industry about, like, I'm answering that question, how was your day? And it's like, oh, I cried for 15 minutes. And then sang a song, and then stripped naked.
Shit. Well,
and that was before noon, you know, like.
What was the most awkward thing you had to do for an audition?
There was one time I'm walking in this room, and they don't say anything to me. And they just start playing music. And they just stare at me in this kind of creepy way. And they just go, dance.
Did they also tell you to put the lotion on your skin?
We don't need to talk about that, man. That's between me and them. It's fucking weird, man. Because like, dance. But it wasn't like, hey, if you could just dance. It's like, dance. And you just don't know where that shit's going to end up, right? And they film it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, do they want a sexy dance? Do they want a funny dance? Are they like watching my crotch while I dance? Because you don't know. Are they even filming it? Are they just trying to get off on the power of, you know, that's why all this Harvey Weinstein shit, man. I mean, and I heard about this guy, to be honest, like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that he was doing. Not that I had, you know, any power in the industry to do anything about it, but I've been hearing these rumors for a really long time. And some of these people, and maybe some of them are listening now, but I could give a fuck. Some of these people who have power over actors. Not all. Some are amazing. Some are pathological. It's just about power. It's about like getting off on making people do whatever you want.
And I don't understand that, man. It's fucking weird.
Honestly, maybe it's not a popular thing to say, but I'm honestly just like lucky in a way that I'm not a woman in this industry, because like I'm a man and I'm strong and it's okay for me to fight. So, you know, you pull that shit on me, Harvey, I'm gonna break your dick off. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna feed it to you.
I don't know, man. Just touching old Harvey Weinstein penis. I don't know. I don't care if it is a fight. That's something, an area I don't want to journey into.
It's like grabbing a lightsaber, buddy. You got to do it.
Now, along with being an actor, you're also a director and a writer. Out of all three of these things, all these billets you have under your hat there, which one you enjoy the most?
I definitely love acting the most, probably because it was always something I did as a child and always wanted to do. But I will say I'm probably best known as a writer. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty skilled at it. I've gotten definitely the most acclaim. Although been pretty acclaimed as an actor, but as a writer, I don't know. I was somewhat of a prodigy. So I was winning playwriting awards when I attended the University of Toronto. And then I was getting so much press. I actually had a documentary done about me that aired on Bravo up here in Canada, across the country, before I had graduated from university.
That's as mentioned on Random Chatterings.
Yeah. So that's how you know it's true. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of trippy, right? Like literally, they were calling me the rising star of Toronto theater while I was still in school, which just doesn't happen. And I don't know, did I deserve it or did I whatever, right? Like it's hard to know, right? What do these things mean, or did I just get lucky? Or I obviously had talent, but the kind of press that I was getting so young.
Now, did that make you put pressure on yourself?
It didn't. It didn't, because I just never, to be honest, I never wanted to be a writer. So it was kind of like, I guess it was a bit of pressure, because I was like, oh shit, like literally got to the point where anything I did in terms of the industry, like my new script, my new project, my new whatever the fuck it was, like newspapers would be writing about it. Now it's not like we don't like TMZ up here in Canada or anything, but still, like I was like in my early 20s, I was like 22 or something like that. So, it kind of fucks you up a little bit. You're like, whoa. So like anything I do, you're just going to like write about, like, it's like, you're no longer just like a person, like you kind of become a thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I remember I even had family members, after like my career was really starting to blow up really early on. I was just starting my career. Technically I was still in training to be a professional when all this stuff was happening. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember, there was like a Christmas when these things were happening, and then I had the presence, and I'm not going to say which family members just in case they're listening, but they addressed it to Bobby Del Rio from so-and-so and so-and-so, whereas I'm always I'm Bobby, right? My brother also was in the industry, Tony, and he was a child star and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden it was like I was like a thing to my family.
And that's kind of fucked up.
I wasn't just Bobby. I was Bobby Del Rio. There's a difference.
Now, being, with that happening and everything, people that been around you all your life, people that, raised you and everything. What does that do to you mentally?
I've never actually talked about this. What does it do to me mentally? It creates like a distrust, right? So I've worked with a lot of actors, obviously in a 20-year career, and I've directed some and acted some and written for some and blah, 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 blah. And it's very, very interesting. I've worked with a number of people who were child stars and then grew up to be adults.
Yeah.
Some of whom have gone on to have really great careers, and some of whom have left the industry. But I would say like 100% is probably too high, but it feels like 100% of like child stars. There's a reason that it's a cliche that they get fucked up, because you're not treated like a kid. Like, you're treated like a commodity.
Yeah.
And it kind of warps your sense of self. Especially if it's like people who are supposed to just kind of like love you. But then, like in my case, it's not like I was making so much money, but I was getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But some of these kids are like bankrolling their parents' lives.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew a chick, and she was like, I don't know if she was famous, but she made a lot of dough when she was a kid. And she told me, like, her parents took all the money and like just bought a cottage and went on vacations, and they just spent all her money.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty.
You know, and she remembers her whole childhood just being on set, working, how her parents spent her money.
Yeah, there should be like stuff in place for that. I'm pretty sure there is that I don't know about, but
yeah, there is. But then how do you
really regulate some shit like that?
That's it. You know, like all this stuff. So right now, the biggest thing in the industry, and you know, rightly so, is the idea of basically trying to keep the industry safe for women.
Yeah.
From a sexual harassment standpoint, and actually, ACTRA is the union for film and television actors up here in Canada. And the main legal counsel who's been tasked with helping to create some of these standards is a good friend of mine named Victoria Shen, who I've known for like 20 years. And she's great, quality woman, really smart. She's perfect person for that job. But I also, and I kind of, so I went to the ACTRA Awards, which are, you know, kind of like the SAG Awards, but for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into Victoria, maybe this was 3 weeks ago or something like that. And we talked about it. And I was like, but how can you actually regulate that? Because there's just so many times where people are off the clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, it's almost in a sense like child support or whatever. You know, parent get put on child support. They pay the other parent the money to take care of the kid or whatever. But the other parent that's getting the money is doing other shit, you know, buying clothes and shoes for them and paying their car note and all that other crap.
Right. And, you know, in the industry, I mean, it's not that women don't get harassed on set. Like, they do, but it's pretty rare for something like that. Like, if that does happen, you can easily report it. There's a process in place, and you can't, you know. But that's not where most of the bad shit goes down. Right? The bad shit goes down at the bar.
Yeah.
Right? Or between jobs, I think a lot of exploitation happens. I have a lot of, you know, very attractive female friends in the industry, and I keep things very professional, like, all the time. But they'll tell me, like, I'll bring them to parties, and they told me, you know, I thought I was introducing them to directors for business, and then they told me they fully were hitting on them, and they kept bombarding them, and let's go for coffee, or soliciting them for sex and stuff. Like, it's a real problem, and it's been a problem for a long time, and I just don't see, like, how do you change that? I don't really know.
It's just, I mean, I don't know. We got to figure out some kind of safeguards, and a lot of the times too is just, I don't know. It's just people really feel like that damn, if they don't do this certain thing that somebody else says is really going to fuck their life over for the worse, you know?
Right.
It fucking sucks. It's a vicious cycle. But anyway, as far as writing goes and everything, like, how do you prepare? What's your mindset going into something? An idea comes to you, and do you just sit down and you get in front of your typewriter like Murder, She Wrote, and it just start coming to your fingers and you type it down? Or do you have a process? You light some candles, you do some some meditation, and then you get into it?
I'm going to give you a shitty answer, brother. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is the same answer. So when I was 24, I won a North American playwriting competition in New York City. So I submitted some plays that I had written, and they picked me over some prominent American writer, apparently. And then, so it was on 42nd Street, and it was at the theater's gone now. It was called the John Houseman Theater, and I went. There was like, I don't know, it was like pretty much sold out. It was like hundreds of people there. It was a pretty cool experience, especially so young, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the same question comes up, right? Especially, you're a playwright, a writer, all this success, whatever. And people are like, oh, what's your process? And I pretty much have the same answer, that my process is really shit. Like, I sit down and I just write it, and I'm like super fast. I don't really think about it, and it just always turns out awesome.
Now, see, and
it's hard to say that without coming across as a dick, but it's like, I don't have a process, and like, I'm so fast. I just go, oh, it would be cool, and I just write it, and then I'll just do it, and then everyone's like, that was awesome. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Well, that's a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to somebody about this today, but I believe that, and I don't know, I might be the fastest writer in the world who works professionally. If I'm not the fastest, I'm definitely, irrefutably in the top 1% in the industry.
Oh, okay.
For sure. And I get a lot of work because of that. Like, I can write a feature film, a screenplay from scratch in 24 hours.
Okay. All right. Well, let's put it to the test. We're going to game plan right now. You ready?
I could.
You got your
It's funny. Like, I've said this. Like, I could film me. I'll start from scratch. I'll write something new, and I'll pump out an amazing draft in less than a day.
Okay. Well,
and other people do it, but I do it so consistently and so well that, like...
Yeah. Well, this is what we're going to do right now. I got an original idea. This is the backstory on it. My wife is a writer. She does poetry. She self-published a book that got picked up by a small publishing company called Dark Deception, Beginning of the End. It's authored by Jay Robinson.
All right, cool.
So my wife inspires me to do a lot of things. None that I'm probably not so much good at. But at least I give it the good old college try or whatever, even though I've never been to college. So she wrote a book, and I was so in awe of her writing this book and self-publishing it and everything that, like, I mean, she got the know-how. So I'm always pitching ideas to her. So I was like, hey, right. You should write about this. And I was like, yeah, now you should write about this. And she's like, one day she was just like, why don't you do it? Why don't you just write it?
Right.
And I was like, well, fuck it. I will now.
Right. Yeah.
So I sit down in front of the computer and I start typing, trying to come up with character names and everything. And now I'm kind of screwing myself because I'm putting this out there to the world because they're going to hear me say the shit that I actually started on this. And now they're going to kind of hold me accountable. So I'm fucking myself right now.
Right.
So I sat down and I had an idea. Guy has they call it an addiction. I don't even know if you can classify it as that. He has a sex addiction or whatever. Right. He's going through all these different women and everything.
Just a Harvey Weinstein story.
Damn it. Somebody already got to it before I did.
Right.
But he has a sex addiction. He's running through all these different women and everything. And then he meet this one girl that he really likes, and she does some crazy shit with him or whatever, stuff he ain't never did before, and it kind of damages in him. So he tries to move on to another woman, and, he can't, fulfill his urges because of what he done with the other girl. And now he's ramping it up, trying to make it more extreme so he can get some, kind of feeling, kind of pleasure out of it. Then eventually it evolves past sex, and he's just straight up murdering motherfuckers.
This is actually the Jeffrey Dahmer story.
Damn it!
No. I mean, I don't like. I think it's a brilliant idea, and you should write it, or maybe you have it. But I remember I watched a documentary about Jeffrey Dahmer recently, and that's what it was for him. It was like he always just needed a new thrill, and he would get off sexually, and he would and that's kind of how the murdering thing came. And then it wasn't enough to murder; he had to like preserve body parts and then fucking put their body parts in acid and shit. Like, it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating because that, do you know what I mean? It's like always a new high.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I got a couple thousand words on it. I got some well, at least 2-3 characters built off of it. But yeah, it's full.
Do you want to know why? You want to know why I can write so fast?
I don't know. Tell me.
I'll tell you the secret, and I tell people this, and they don't do it, and it's shocking. But I don't question what I do. So most people will have an idea, and they go, "Oh, is this good?" And then they'll write the thing, and they'll think about this, and and they want to get it perfect. Where I could give a fuck. Like for me, I go, "Oh, what about this? And what about this? And then this, and then I could. Oh, that would be cool." And I just start, and then I finish, and I don't know where it's going to go. Now, I make sure I go, okay, like I come up with sort of a concept, like a title for me is big because a title has sort of the concept and the story inherent in it in my mind. So once I do that, then I'm like, oh, cool, let's just go. And so basically I can finish the script as quickly as I can type. Okay. And I never question anything. And it's funny because I'm pretty known for my dialogue and my jokes and all this kind of stuff, but I never think about jokes. I never think about dialogue. I literally am just typing. And then this could happen. Then they said this, and I'm just going from point A to point B to point C, and I just go as quickly as I can, and then I look at it after, and inevitably, just because I don't know if it's because I've been doing it for so long, or maybe I'm naturally talented, or maybe I get lucky. I really don't know what it is, but every time I'm done, I show it to people and look, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. But but I don't question what it is. So whatever my talent is, or whatever people see in me, because to be honest, I don't really know what they see in me because I'm just being me.
Yeah.
I'm not really doing anything. I'm just typing what I think would be cool. So I just do it as quickly as I can, and then turns out well.
Well, when you say fast, what's your word count?
I have no idea.
I'll just do it. Fuck it. Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. I'm just saying if I started it today, tomorrow, by 10:19, I'd be done.
Magic.
It's just what it is. I could write 365 original feature screenplays every single fucking year. But the reality is, it takes like 5 years to get one of them made.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with, 1,500 scripts? Too many scripts.
Now, we're
I have 100 right now.
Well, damn, dude.
And to get anything made, even a short, even a web series, anything, I mean, it's so time consuming. And you got to kiss so much ass and you get so much rejection. Yeah. It's a hard life.
Have you ever come across anything like that? Something that you knew for a fact that, like, in your heart of hearts, all deep down in your bones, that like you knew this was gold, and you ran it across a couple people and was like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. And then when you went to present it to get picked up or adapted and everything, they was like, fuck your couch. You ever ran across anything like that?
What did you say? Fuck my couch?
Yeah, fuck your couch. They was like, no, we don't want that shit.
Oh, I never heard that expression.
Dave
saying, fuck your couch. Have sex with your furniture. Wait, I think I paraphrased that.
Have sexual intercourse.
Honestly, have sexual intercourse with something that's inanimate within your house that cannot speak. Was that technically raping your couch? Okay.
I'm gonna use that one too. Rape your couch.
Every single script. Don't rape your couch. Rape your couch consensually. I once had a woman, and the first time we slept together, she whispered in my ear, "I want you to rape me."
No.
And I said, "Okay, I will rape you consensually." And I looked at that, right?
All right.
Consensually, you are going to get raped right now with your permission.
Shit, nowadays it'll be like, oh, you want me to rape you? All right, this is we're going to game plan it. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to pretend I'm a burglar, and then I'm going to break in, I'm going to rape you. And then I'm going to go outside, I'm going to get my car, I'm going to drive the hell off.
So these days I would film the whole conversation. I would have the shit uploaded to YouTube so there's evidence of the consent before anything was to go down.
Yeah, then you can't even trust video no more, because you could have been behind the camera with a gun telling her to say this. That's how they're going to spin it on you, Bobby Del Rio. I'm telling you.
Fake news. So to answer your question, every single script that I've written, I'm pretty confident in my scripts. And honestly, I've never had a script like that people didn't like, right? They didn't get like good reviews, or like I've always had positive feedback for basically everything I've ever written.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the next 100 scripts will be pieces of shit. I mean, I really don't know, but so far it's been a pretty good track record.
Okay.
But every single script I've written, several people have rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Several. Like, I don't think I've ever just written something and it was just smooth. It was like, oh, I wrote this and now it's done, and life is great. It's like, no, like there's always a series of hoops of people just telling you your shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, actually, no, like, this is really good. They're like, no, you're shit. And then you just do it. Somehow you find a way to get it done. And then they're like, oh, it was awesome. I always knew it was awesome. I was like, no,
you did,
the person that told me it was shit.
You told me to go fuck my couch.
And I did. And I uploaded it to YouTube, and then they go, fake news.
Now, 20-year career, shopping around all these different ideas and then everything. Tell me what that first major rejection was like for you.
I don't even know if it was a major rejection, but the first rejection that I can recall having, because remember, like, I was sort of the accidental writer,
mm-hmm.
which, probably makes other writers hate me even more, because I've been pretty successful, but I really just was like, oh, this might be fun. I just started typing, and here we go, right? But I remember I'd written a play, which I still believe was a really, really it was a really cool concept. I mean, I was like 20 or something, but it was in theater school. And it was like, this is the first attempt I'd ever made to write a play. And I was like barely a teenager or something like that. I may have even been a teenager. I may have been 19 years old. And I thought it was pretty cool. It's called In a Second. And it was a man and a woman who were holding each other. And in the time that they were holding each other, I have 5 vignettes that play in their head. And it was like the first time they met, first time they said, I love you, the first time they decided to get married. And then I do a split screen of the husband thinking about how much he loves his wife, and it sucks that she's working late. And then she's cheating on him. Mm. And it's perspective. And so it's basically they're both thinking the same thing in this 1 second, but they're seeing it from their various points of view. And those thoughts that are in their mind for that second are going to completely change the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah.
So that's my concept. That's my first play ever as a teenager, and that's the concept. Like, I think that's pretty good,
Yeah.
And I remember I sent it to a friend of mine, and she, like, loved it. She was like, holy shit. And then I got rejected from my school, and I was so mad. I was, like, so hurt, and I think I was like, I will never write another play, and all this kind of shit. But then luckily I decided that I would, and then the second play that I wrote was a play called Name It Yourself, which was a really, again, another high concept play about, it was sort of paralleling like the abuse in a family to the abuse that a writer has over his characters. So it was really ostensibly about power.
Yeah.
And then I guess there was a newspaper that was here in Toronto, prominent arts newspaper called iWeekly, that no longer exists. But I guess they saw my press release. They thought it sounded cool. They interviewed me, and then I've never not been interviewed for anything I've written ever since then. So I guess since that was my first play that was produced, I've actually never written a play where I didn't get interviewed.
Yeah.
So I've never written, I mean, I don't know, maybe it sounds dramatic or something to say like in the public eye, but I don't know what the experience is to write and not have that sort of media perspective,
Yeah. Is it different for you? Like how you say you just kind of like, you sit in front of your computer and just, your fingers take away the job.
I read it on my iPhone. I got the Final Draft app.
Oh man, I can't write on my phone. I'm figuring out that as I get older, my eyesight is getting blurry, so now I got to get glasses.
Right.
But like as far as writing for plays and then a TV show or a web series or anything, is there any difference between that, or is it just the same thing? Your fingers take you away when you sit in front of the computer or on your phone?
I mean, for me, it's the same. I mean, I have a lot of experience now working in different mediums. I also have like two features with a producer in Los Angeles, and there was an offer made by a major, like one of the biggest studios in the world, with an A-list movie star attached. Again, I can't say the name because I guess it's not greenlit yet. It sounds like it's close.
Black Panther 2.
Wow. I wish. That guy's can get paid. I love Black Panther. That was a great film.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, whatever. Like, I have a lot of experience writing everything. So for me, it doesn't really matter. Like, I can kind of shift seamlessly from one form to another. But if you don't have experience in those forms, they are different, like mostly in terms of formatting and structurally.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's pretty much the same shit. I mean, you have a story, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if there isn't, then you don't know what you're doing. So that's rule number one. But once you do know the basics, yeah, it's kind of just like, what do you want to happen? And then you just make it happen.
All right. What's your genre of choice? What's your favorite to write on?
My favorite thing to do is to blend genres.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got a sci-fi, cowboy, western drama.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Like, my preference is to combine like maybe 4 genres, because I really believe everything's been done, especially every genre's been done. So the only way to actually create something unique is to have a combination of what already exists.
Yeah, so we already have a comedy suspense. So we need a comedy suspense action drama.
This is how I write, honestly. Like, I do that, like, because I've written so many scripts, and like I say, it's not too hard for me to do it. So I have to give myself new challenges. Also, one thing that has helped me a lot, and that separates me, I think, from a lot of screenwriters, is I started as a playwright, and I have a theater degree, right? So I went to theater school. I was trained as an actor, but I also studied the history of theater academically as well, which is part of our program. So I've just studied the history of storytelling. And most screenwriters don't have that, right? I mean, we studied Shakespeare and Chekhov and Ibsen and Strindberg and Arthur Miller and the Greeks. And so anytime there's a sort of contemporary problem, I'm always referencing classical plays, because they'll reference a TV show from 10 years ago. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, that idea is 3,000 years old, right?
Yeah, it's much like my idea I just pitched you.
Yeah, well, sure, but I mean, it's just kind of knowing the history of literature, and that just happens to be my major, right? That's my background. So and I've seen this a lot with younger writers. The reference points are weak. Even like I spent 5 years as a programmer for a pretty prominent festival in Toronto. And around then because I was picking feature films from across Canada to be a part of our festival, I was also watching pretty much all the classical films that I could, so I could get a really strong aesthetic sense of what makes a good film, and then what do I think makes a good film. And then I would write an analysis of each film that I picked, and that was my favorite part. So I've also like invested the time to watch Gone with the Wind and Chinatown and Citizen Kane, and
Yeah.
So, I've watched so many of the classical films. I've read and seen so many of the classical plays. So when it comes to solving a problem in a television series or a web series or an animation or whatever it is, I can just reference like the best master works of all time. And that's a big advantage over somebody who hasn't even seen Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And unbelievably, there are a lot of screenwriters, mostly in their 20s, who just haven't seen or read shit.
No,
that's a problem.
That is a lot to think about. All right, just I'm pretty sure you get this question a lot too. Infinite amount of funding. Is the script that you want to put out into the world already done? You got it in your archive somewhere, or what would you write with unlimited backing?
Funding does not affect me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you're a really great writer, the ideas will trump the budget. So for me, I never be like, oh, like a lot of I don't know, writers, directors, whatever, people say that all the time. Oh, if I only had the money, and I'm like, you know what? That is your fucking problem then, because if you are a really talented writer, you can execute your story in a billion different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. And now, remember, I started as a playwright. Most screenwriters don't have that background. A lot do, but many don't. So I've been writing plays that have, been reviewed by the best newspapers in Canada, that have been selected across North America to be staged in New York and all this kind of shit. And it's like two people in a room talking.
Mm.
So I'm so used to bare bones requirements and having to find character, plot, story reasons to keep an audience engaged. I don't need a fucking realistic looking spaceship to like shit out bunnies on the exploding White House
bunnies
to tell the story,
That's the first thing that came to you, bunnies, huh?
Yeah.
Are those bunnies?
But it's cold. So I just type all the time.
So those bunnies popping out of that couch that you've been fucking consensually?
Fucking the bunny couch.
Consensually, of course.
Consensually. I've uploaded the video on YouTube. I can prove it. But to answer your question, I mean, look, I don't think that it's like I'm waiting for the big budget. I mean, I think I have a pretty good track record of my scripts finding an audience.
Well, kind of.
So I'm just constantly challenging myself.
Well, really what I meant was like, if somebody was like, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to put out there, here's the money to do it. What would you put out there? Is it something that you already written, or you haven't written that project yet?
I guess I don't really have an answer to that because I have 100 scripts.
Well,
right.
Just do what you said. You melt genres so you can melt all them scripts together and make one big one.
I'd rather they just make all of them, to be honest. For me, it's more about marketing than production.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I already have a bunch of stuff that's already made.
Yeah.
And so it actually becomes a challenge competing against myself in the marketplace. Like sometimes even I go on these podcasts and I don't even know which one to talk about because I've done so many things, right?
Yeah.
So I think if somebody had unlimited money to support my career, I would ask them to create a more inventive marketing structure than simply production funds for one of my scripts.
Okay. Because like you said, it's going to get made regardless, but you just need to get it out there more, right?
Yeah, like for example, obviously Netflix comes up a lot in conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And I recently referred to Netflix as a remote control, right? Because Netflix yes, it's brilliant, but it's not about the platform. It's the captive audience, right? So really what makes Netflix stand out is what it recommends.
Yeah, that's what you want. Because, I mean, there's millions of things inside of Netflix or whatever that you'll probably never come across of if it doesn't come across that home screen.
Right. So really, Netflix is just a fucking marketing referral service.
Yeah.
That's what Netflix is. That's the real power of Netflix. It's cutting through all the white noise. There's never been more films made in the history of the world as right now. There's so many films.
Mm-hmm.
Good ones, too. There's so many. So how do you stand out in the marketplace amongst so much quality? And a lot of people say, oh, there's so much shit. No, there's not. There's actually a lot of talented people out there. There's a lot of good stuff. But how can you cut through all that white noise and get people to pay attention to you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the real issue facing the industry right now, in my opinion.
Did you see that movie that everybody rant and raving about? I think it's Veronica or some shit like that.
No.
Yeah.
No, and this is another thing that's interesting, right? It's that, like, there's so much content that, like, there no more is there sort of a shared set of stories, which also means values, right? That sort of, like, coherently tie society together. It's like we're all in our little echo chamber enclaves, sort of like curating our own experiences of the world. There's no, like, I remember it used to be like Friends was on 8:00 on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And everybody would watch Friends, and then the next day everybody would say, oh my God, Ross and Rachel, you know. Mm-hmm. That's gone. That's done. So you've got all this good stuff, but then it's like society's eroding. It's like what are the commonalities keeping us together? Yeah.
And that was a thing I wanted to talk to you about. I mean, we're roughly in the same age bracket or whatever. So, I mean, we've pretty much seen in our lifetime the evolution of social media and the internet and everything. From way back when, as far as you can remember, you know.
How old are you?
At the end of the month, I will be 36.
Okay. I turned 40 in December.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, we roughly in the same area.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But like, with how much with technology has changed and everything, how has it either made it easier for you to do what you do, or has it hampered you from doing what you do?
So, I mean, this is the premise of IRL, right? I created this series called IRL the Series.
Good setup, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're good, brother. And really, it's about that. It's the thesis of how has social media changed the world. So when I refer to it, that was my initial question, but the thesis now, I think, with the execution is basically how has social media disrupted society, which I think is more accurate. Look, I think the story of IRL sort of emphasizes the answer to your question, right? It's like IRL was created because I literally wrote on Facebook in this one group in the industry. I was like, I'm bored. Who wants to make a project? And I thought 5 to 10 people would say, let's make a short film on Thursday. And then 65 people signed up in 36 hours. And then I went, fuck.
Yeah.
And in my boldness, I had said, anybody who replies to this thread is guaranteed to be part of the project. Mm-hmm. Not expecting that 65 people would sign up, right?
That's a lot of craft services.
Look, a year and a half later, we had sold a show to Bell Media, which is the biggest media corporation in Canada. They own like 100 channels or something crazy, right? Mm-hmm. But that all started, there's many reasons for why that happened, and luck and talent and social media strategy and blah, 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 blah. But the whole genesis of that story is like it started with a Facebook post. And that's obviously a really good thing about social media. I mean, there's a lot of people that I worked with, and I made some really good relationships, and a lot of great career opportunities came out of essentially randomness. I was really bored one day, and I literally just spent a second to be like, oh, let me just post this. Like, what if I didn't do that? What if I was, that's a stupid idea. It was just a thought.
Yeah.
You know how we all have like thousands of thoughts a day? Mm-hmm. Right? My one thought was like, oh, when you put, it's like, it's interesting too, because it's like, oh, what if I just asked that girl out for coffee?
Yeah.
That could be your wife.
Exactly. And I talked about this on the most recent episode that's out now. That's how me and my wife met. I seen her picture on the internet. I said hello, and here we are 10 years later. But,
right.
I second guessed myself at that point in time. I seen it and I was like, I started not to say nothing, you know, but I was just like, fuck it. What's the worst that could happen? You know, and here we are.
So this is the thing about social media, right? It's like, now, you know, the randomness of the world scares me, because what if Donald Trump goes, what happens if I push this button? You know,
yeah.
You don't want that shit to happen, but this is the sort of precarious balance between sort of, I don't know, outcomes in our society right now. And so with social media, although you're right, you're a Facebook post away from creating a show and selling it to television, you're also a Facebook post away from destroying your whole life in 1 second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I wrote one Facebook post that was 5 words long about 3 weeks ago, and I got 350 comments in less than 24 hours. Now, you know, like I say, I have a pretty good career, and a lot of people know who I am, and I do have, you know, quite a lot of Facebook friends and stuff, but nothing like that. Like, that's just stupid. Like, I wrote 5 words, and now the 5 words I wrote were provocative, but they weren't that provocative. I wrote, political correctness is intellectual cancer. And I get it. It's bold, and it could mean many things. And I swear to God, like, it was like I pushed that button, and within less than a day, I had like some of the most prominent theater critics from Canadian newspapers. I had people who ran funding organizations. I had prominent artists. I had prominent actors. I had academics. And now, partly it's also like I'm friends with a lot of people who have a lot of status, right?
Yeah.
So when I get people's attention, it's like I'm getting real attention. It's not like my 3 friends who I went to grade school with. It's like the fucking industry is paying attention, right? But it's scary too, right? So there were a lot of people who were accusing me of being racist and sexist and homophobic. Like they interpreted my 5 words to mean, oh, like I'm a Holocaust denier or something, like crazy shit.
And that's just weird. And it's just how people interpret what you say, you know?
And honestly, it could have really hurt me, except for 2 reasons. Number one, I'm not white. I'm half Chinese.
Yeah.
Which is significant because in a line of extrapolations where you have now interpreted my political correctness as intellectual cancer to mean now that I'm a racist, right? And all these things. And number 2, I have run a prominent anti-racism organization for 15 years in Canada. Right? Like literally, I've been like a leader for the multicultural community since 2003 and won awards and published papers.
But all of a sudden,
so much media time,
5 words fuck you up.
So when these people came after me looking for blood, because the mob came after me because I had won awards, because my last play was called Professionally Ethnic, because I've been running this organization, because I've devoted my life to fighting racism, I was able to refute the ridiculous claims that I was racist because I wrote a fucking 5-word Facebook post. If I was not such a prominent anti-racism activist, and if I was not a person of color, that could have had serious consequences for me.
Or if you weren't who you were, nobody would have cared.
Yeah, possible too.
Because I tell you what, I say 5-word phrases all the time and nobody give a shit. I'd rather even get a like.
Right. Anyone wants some fried chicken,
Exactly.
You motherfucker. I'm hungry. I love fried chicken.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Fried chicken is the shit. Oh.
Hell yes. Matter of fact, I want some right now. I wish I had some in the kitchen.
Damn right, my friend. Yeah, look, I'm sure that's a factor too, right? But I'm just saying, like, the social media world is very weird because it's like so much can happen in such a short amount of time. Careers can like end like so quickly. It just doesn't seem like you never like, oh, social media just totally made this child the president of Nicaragua in like 2 days. You know? No, it's like, no, that it's like some person like said something stupid for a second. And whatever they said, I'm sure it was stupid. Like, there's something. Think about all the stupid things you ever said or thought. Not even said thought.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
I think like 1,000 stupid things every moment. And if you just like, just one comes out of your fingers, like if that comes out, something stupid, your life could be over.
Yeah.
You could be fired. You could get broken up with. You could have, it could get retweeted by the wrong, it could be proof that you are now a member. I had people saying that I was part of the alt-right.
Okay.
To which I responded, yeah, I'm the first Chinese-Italian alt-right member in the history of the world.
Well, let me tell you a funny story. I got my zodiac sign on the back of my arm. I'm an Aries. So
okay.
I had somebody, a Caucasian man, accuse me, a black guy, of being part of the Aryan Brotherhood. So, yeah.
Aries, you're one of us.
So I was like, okay.
Have you ever seen that Chappelle Show sketch?
Exactly. Those black, white supremacists.
Fucking gold.
Show us your face.
It's gold, man. But this is it, it's like people are crazy now, and it's like I feel like there's a whole bunch of people who are looking for fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go on these platforms to fight. Like most people I think are just normal people, but there's like some fucking people. They're there to cause problems. I don't even know if they're doing it consciously,
mm-hmm.
but they are doing it because I see the same people getting in flame wars and starting shit with people like all the time.
I don't know, man. It's just like,
and there's consequences.
There's like, I don't know. People are just like feeding off of misery or some shit. It's just like there's hardly ever anything of merit, of good intent published anywhere. It's just, motherfucker died here. This motherfucker, she got shot over here. This motherfucker burning crosses over here. It's just like nothing positive.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
I don't even watch the news anymore.
And it's like, but I do feel like people are looking for, like, for example, Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking great, right? Like I was so happy that film was good. Partly just as a fan of cinema, and partly as like an anti-racism activist, as a person of color, to be like, yo, like they stepped up and that shit was dope.
Mm-hmm.
Like irrefutably, by any measure, that was a fantastic film. That's a fucking action movie that I think should be nominated for many Oscars, and not just in the like special effects categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's history. And then you go on Facebook, and then there's people just like complaining.
Yeah.
About like, oh, like why do black people have to like put it in our faces and shit like that? And I was like,
what do you mean?
What is this? What is this?
What
and is this just people or like?
Because I never not heard anyone complain. Well, I have not heard anyone complain about The Hobbit, Harry Potter, none of the motherfucking movies.
And you know what I think? And again, it's not fair to say, oh, it's like white people think this way. It's only certain, like a vocal minority, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's some people who are probably even black who are criticizing it for whatever reason. I don't know. But for the most part, like criticisms I heard were from certain people in the white community, and it's because it was fucking good.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I mean, despite it being all black cast, I just thought it was a good ass movie.
Yeah, like honestly, like it doesn't fucking matter. Honestly, if the movie sucked, I would say it. It's not just because there's a bunch of black people and the movie's gonna be good.
Yeah,
but it was so fucking good, and it was like not only was it good, or even good enough, That shit was way better than any action movie I'd seen in many, many years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like the last movie that was like sort of in that genre that I really loved. Now, a lot of people didn't love it, but I loved it, was Watchmen.
Yeah.
And I liked it because I liked how political it was. I liked that it was different. Like I'm a screenwriter, right? So I like that you can take the genre and put a different spin on it. And that's what Black Panther did. I thought it transcended the genre. So it's not just... That was the first time that I'd ever watched an action movie and went, oh, you could nominate that for like best original screen. Well, maybe, I guess best adapted screenplay or whatever.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the action wasn't even really the best parts of the movie.
No, but the action was still dope.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting story. Yeah, so... But that's it, right? So if you're kind of like against black people, then that's going to piss you off even more.
People just have a problem. I said, we all the same.
So I've been saying for a long time.
Yep. Well, on that note, you have anything else that you want to throw out there into the atmosphere, sir, before we ride off into that good night?
I guess, my closing thoughts saying all this stuff is that I think it's really sad that people are using social media to spout off all this hate and negativity and fucking bullshit, because we could do so many good things with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good people out there. There's more good people than bad people. There are bad people, but there are way more good people. But for whatever reason, the fucking bad people just won't shut the fuck up.
I wish we can have a bad people convention and have Trump accidentally sit on that button and shoot that missile where they are.
Yeah, but again, I kind of think it's violence not the answer, right? It's like, like I hate Donald Trump. I hate everything that he stands for, but as a human being, I still believe there is a good person inside everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not true in his case. I don't know, but I just think that as soon as we give up on people, that is the problem.
Yeah, we're lost, man.
So I just, I'm all about love and like equality and just hoping that as a society we can find a way to just support each other and just stop all the fucking tension and the fighting and the negativity, because it gets us nowhere and it's all bullshit anyway.
Yeah. So you're in front of your computer right now. You about to type a 5-word post on your Facebook wall. What's it gonna be?
I want some fried chicken.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, baby.
All right, man. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Best way is on Twitter, @Bobman. Anyone who wants to follow me on Instagram, it's @BobbyDelRio. I'm on Facebook too, and I approve anyone, so add me there. But you cause problems, I'll just unfriend your ass. So,
man, I love it. I want some fucking fried chicken.
I do. I want some fried chicken so badly, but that's 7 words. But
hey, whatever.
I want it.
It made me happy.
That's what I aim to do, my brother.
All right. Well, man, it's been a pleasure to hear you talk about everything and anything, and I appreciate you giving me your time out of your busy schedule.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it too.
All right, and I'll catch you down the road, sir.
Yeah, man.
And you're damn right. I do want some fried chicken. That was the fantabulous Bobby Del Rio. It's easy to just get caught up in his storytelling and everything. You just ask him a simple question and he just takes it all over the globe and back. And I wanted to play some voicemails from Hoppy Rogers for him, but I was just into what we was talking about and I kind of forgot about it, so Hoppy messed around and got himself banned on Twitter, but now he's back, and you can find him as Lord Hop of India. Long story, but you can follow Hoppy Rogers now at Lord Hop of India. So give him a follow, replenish his numbers, help him get back his Twitter status. And, I'm going to leave here after I do my sign off a voicemail from Hoppy Rogers, because this is a platform for everybody to say what they want to say, do what they want to do, play how they want to play. This sounds like that Ghostbuster song that Hammer made. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter at It's B-Rob. That's ITSBROB. And did I say Ghostbuster song by MC Hammer? I meant the Addams Family song by MC Hammer. So follow the show on Twitter at 3R Show. You can go to randomrobcast.com and find out different ways that you can help support the show. You can buy merchandise. You can use my Amazon links. You can follow me on Instagram. I don't know how that's going to help produce money for the show, but maybe if you get enough likes and views on my Instagram posts, that might help out monetarily. But all in all, it's just that the most important thing that you can do for anybody, man, this music is throwing me off. The most important thing that you can do for any podcaster, anybody that puts out, any kind of social media for the world to enjoy is to, give it a listen, give it a like, give it a follow, subscribe, tell a friend, just do something to support the cause. And all that stuff is free. Unless it's a movie that's in theaters, then you have to pay for that. Or also unless you have Movie Pass and then you're kind of not paying for it. So it's a complicated thing here. And now I'm watching the Addams Family MC Hammer music video right now as I do this. Also, Random Rounds with Rob is sponsored by Hooks Rubs and Spices. You can find them on Etsy.com. Just type in Hooks Rubs and Spices. If you make an order of $6 or more, you can get 10% off by using the promo code 3R Show. Just much like the Twitter handle there, 3R Show. So do those things. Give me some herbs and spices in my Christmas stocking this year. And once, like I said before, we got a voicemail that's going to take us out of here with Hoppy Rogers. And I'll see you next time.
I just, you can save this voicemail till later. I just needed to call and get this off my chest, while I was freshly thinking about it. But, I wanted to call a veteran. I thought about calling back over ALB, and I ain't got no beef at all, and I ain't upset in the least or nothing. I just wanted to talk about, everybody talking about, kind of making, I don't know, everybody's laughing about Anthony and his legs and all that, but, I think I may have quickly told this story before, but, Anthony, he was in Gulf War I and, Bosnia and Gulf War II and Gulf War II, like he's always been a tanker, and, he's done some fucked up shit. I ain't got time to get into all these stories. It's probably gonna be a 2 or 3 voicemail. Anywho, he's a great man, and it saddens me the way our country treats our veterans. And he fought 3 wars for us, man. 3, not 1, not 2, 3. And I know people have opinions about the wars that we get in and all that, and the other side of the world, and nobody's attacked us domestically since Japan, and all that. But that's upper level shit. We're talking about guys that signed up to protect the country and followed orders and did what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? And the only way you can really fuck with one of our tanks is blow a tread off of it, and it's immobile. You can't. There's nothing that them people over got that fucks with our tanks, and even their own tanks. So they RPG'd the tread that he was in, and I guess when they opened the hatch, it makes it, vulnerable, and somebody threw an IED or a grenade or, I don't remember exactly. I don't even know if he knows exactly what it was, but threw an explosive into the tank, and it blew up. And tanks got different compartments, and you got to wait on the turret, the top part that spins to spin so its hole lines up with your hole so you can get out. And this man's down in there burning, he's on fire. And he's waiting on this goddamn thing to spin so he can get out. And I can't imagine, it takes forever to wait 30 seconds on a microwave. To wait on that thing to spin around must have been hell. Literally. And, you know, they told him he wouldn't walk. He's walking. They told him, you know, they'd have to lose his legs. He's got his legs. He's walking. But, you know, after they use your body, they really don't give a fuck about you no more. And the VA is a goddamn joke. So it's a miracle he got back to walking. And when I met Anthony, I'm a baker. For everybody that don't know, I've been baking for a long time. Pastry chef. I'm debatably one of the top 5 bakers in Kentucky. But I was working at a bakery in Lexington, and he was working at a Shell station I got my coffee from every morning. And we got to talking all the time, and, you know, found out we lived right next door to each other, basically, and started hanging out in the afternoon, playing video games and whatnot, and drinking together. And he's a real bad alcoholic, you know, and I like to drink and stuff, but, you know, I can take days off and I'll get the shakes, and, you know, what the fuck, most nights I just drink 2 or 3, but, he was for real, and, it's just sad to me that somebody does all that for the country and end up working at a gas station. And then as time went on, you know, I had my hardest spot too in 2015, but he ended up homeless. He drinks so bad, he loses his jobs and such. And, you know, last I knew, Anthony was homeless. And, you know, I've always told him, you can stay with me if you quit drinking. Because you know, there's people out there that get drunk and they're funny, or people that get drunk and they just kind of mind their own business and go pass out and all this. And I love Anthony. He's one of my best buddies, and I lived in Lexington for 5 years. But he's one of those people, when he gets drunk, you just can't handle him, man. He's too loud, too obnoxious, too up in everything. It's sad, you know. And I know he's just kind of acting out to deal with what happened with him and all this, and what's pent up inside him, and it depresses me, man, because, you know, I don't know where he's at. I haven't, since I went home, in Louisville, which is about an hour and a half from where he is. I haven't heard from him or spoken with him, and I don't know how in the hell, I doubt we'll ever see each other again, you know, because, you know, I don't know. It hurts me, man. But, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because I don't have no ill will against anybody that, you know, we're all on podcasts to have fun and joke and all that, and I joke about fucked up shit myself, you know, I do. Sometimes I cross the line a little bit, and I appreciate y'all not hating me for that too, but maybe it's just all of us dealing with this fucked up world, and, you know, that's the only way maybe to deal with it and cope sometimes, is to make light, you know, and that's me too. Love y'all.
Your face is coming straight to your ears. A podcast network that's changing gears, bringing fresh funky pods with a fresh funky beat. A family of pods that are bringing the heat. There ain't no stopping us. Keep coming back to us, sick ass pods that'll make you hush. www hush your face. www hush your face. www hushyourface.com.